Hello! Today we are going to be showing you how to grow your own edible mushrooms from log to plate. To begin, choose a shaded area for storing your mushroom log, preferably on the edge of a forest sheltered from the wind. Select a small tree on your property to cut down while dormant. Trees are dormant a few weeks after leaf fall in autumn, until a few weeks before bud break in the spring, when carbohydrates in the wood are at their highest levels and the bark is adhering tightly to the tree. We typically choose sweet gum because those are the most abundant on our property. Once cut, your log should be about 3 feet long and about 4 to 6 inches in diameter. If you are not cutting down your own tree, reach out to your local arborist to inquire about logs. Now let's take a look at all of the necessary materials for mushroom inoculation. You will need a log, a cheese grater, personal protective equipment including eyewear and earwear, mushroom plug spawn, a single burner camping stove, fuel for the stove, cheese wax, nails, aluminum tags, a pot that can get dirty, a pot for melting wax that can also get dirty, paintbrushes, a hammer, and a drill. Because it takes a while, the first thing that you'll want to do is melt your wax. First, turn on your stove and ignite it. We are using a Coleman Bunsen burner stove. For this stove, we unlock it in the front and add in our butane fuel before relocking it. We want to make sure that it has a good connection so no fuel is lost. Turn the stove to medium heat. The goal here is to create a double boiler and bring the water up to a low boil. We set our pot of water to boil, adjusting the heat as necessary. And add the pot that the wax will go into. While you're waiting for the water to boil, begin grating your cheese wax into the pot. You can use the largest size hole on the grater to increase surface area and speed up the melting time. This grater will also get waxy, so be aware. Once you've grated a sufficient amount, set the pot back on the boiling water to melt. Next up, it's time to prepare your log. Before we begin drilling, make sure to take all necessary safety precautions. If you have long hair like me, tie it back away from your face. Put on protective eyewear like these safety glasses, and protective earwear like these earplugs. Gloves are optional. Now we're all set to start drilling. To optimize the number of inoculated dowels in your log, measure holes every 4 inches, using your pinky and pointer finger as a guide. Starting at the end of your log, you're going to drill holes every 4 inches. You only need to drill about 1 inch down into the log, which is the length of 1 dowel. Continue this process until you've drilled the full length of the log. Remember to move your fingers out of the way to avoid any unnecessary trips to urgent care. Once you have drilled your first line of holes, rotate your log to begin the next line. Measure the next set of holes approximately 4 inches over from the first line, but stagger each hole. You will still drill every 4 inches again, but the staggering will create a zigzag pattern. See how the start of the second row is offset from your first. Keep drilling every 4 inches down this line. Continue this process of rotating and drilling until you get back to your first drill line. Now comes the fun part of inoculating your log. Today, we'll be inoculating our log with shiitake mushroom plug spawn. The wooden dowels are inoculated with the mycelia, so when we pound them into our log, the mycelia will start to take over. We like to start by placing the dowels into our pre-drilled holes. Then, we hammer each one of them into the log until they are flush with the bark. Complete this process for your whole log, filling in all of the pre-drilled holes. Next, we'll tag each log. To remember when and what you inoculated your log with, use an aluminum tag to note the mushroom type, the specific strain, and the date you inoculated your log. This will be very helpful if you inoculate multiple years in a row or if you try out different varieties of mushrooms. For our example today, we inoculated our log with shiitake mushroom spawn, strain Westwind, or WW for short, on April 9th, 2021. Use a nail and a hammer to secure your tag. Then, you're on to the final step. Time to cover up your plugs with wax. The last step in the inoculation process is to cover up each dowel with a little bit of cheese wax. Your wax should be nice and melted now, so use a paintbrush or a cotton dauber to cover each hole with a small amount of wax. The wax will melt rather quickly, so the hotter the wax, the easier this process is. The waxing process is extremely important because you are restoring the integrity of the original bark. When you damage the bark by drilling into it, the potential for a foreign fungal strain to enter the log increases. The wax will be hot, so be careful not to burn yourself. When the wax dries, it should look like this. The dowels should be completely covered. Setting your log. Once you've inoculated your log, it's time to give it a home. Choose a partly shaded location where you can lean your log against a wall or a tree. All of our mushrooms reside here in Mushroom Gorge. Each log is stacked in an A-frame style using cording strung up between two trees. We've inoculated quite a few logs over the past few years. When you stack your logs, try to only have 1 or 2 contact points with other logs. This will make it easier for the mushrooms to fruit and help you spot new fruiting bodies. Now all you have to do is wait. Happy growing! Thanks for watching. If you're interested in learning more about mushroom inoculation, please check out the resources listed in the description below.